I'm live. Hooray. It is I once again looking like poop. I can't get my shit together, you guys. I am eh, I'm clean. I know that. I showered yesterday, but my hair looks like shoot. I was just making sandwiches, you guys. That's where I was. That's where I am. So as you can see, I am doing a live stream today, you guys, from my vehicle yet again. Not the same vehicle as last time. That one is the one Antonio drives the most. He drives our newer whatever Honda Element, and I was driving it that day. Today, I am driving my truck, which is a 1996 Jeep. So that's what I'm in right now. But I had to come over this morning, or like run over this morning to Antonio, um, over at the sandwiches because he needed some help making sandwiches today. And so I got myself up and out of the house and I just threw on clothes to go. And of course, who cares what my hair looks like when I'm doing sandwich making? But any case, I am now at this awkward angle in my car, so you can see my double chin this whole time because I got to look down. So there it is. Let me give you a good view of it. Blah 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 blah. And then I can let it go. And I have a zit on the top of my nose also. So now that we've all looked at those things, I can go on and I can talk about other stuff. Um, Good morning, you guys. Hi, CV, Morgan, Ross, Bill, Bernard. You guys are here. Thank you so much for joining me today on Being Becca Live, which is where we talk about the challenges of being an adult autistic alive right now, and not when research catches up, not when everyone wants to acknowledge our existence, but rather right now while we're alive. And so that's the kind of stuff that we talk about here. And you guys, man, okay. So I've been holding this in. Uh, wow. I've been holding it in since last Wednesday. So it's been, right? It was a Wednesday? Yes. No, last Thursday. So it's slightly less than a week since I had to go to the doctor. And you guys, I wanted to talk to you guys today about having multiple identities, or like decide, that you don't have to have you can have a multifaceted identity is what I wanted to talk about today. But instead, you guys, I gotta vent. I gotta talk about reality. I gotta talk about this thing that's hanging down from the side of my face that I can't stand right now. I have to talk about what real life is like. And that, for me, the whole reason for doing the live stream, the whole reason for doing Growing Gratitude is because these are actual practices that I do to keep up with my life, and that being back alive is sort of like the continuing ed, or perhaps your introduction to self-defined living, which is my course, right? And I don't just teach that shit for shit. I teach that shit because it works, and I've used it, and I continue to use it, and I know it works. And so all of these things, right? And um, it continues to be skills that I need. It continues to be stuff that I work on. So having said that, it doesn't keep me from having bad days. It doesn't protect me from having trauma. It doesn't protect me from having trauma triggered. None of that stuff happens just because I'm doing all this work. The whole point of doing all the work is so that we can get up better from all of these unexpected things, right? So, as we know, as I discussed last time, the doctor is not a place I like to go. Much like a traditional employment scenario, going to the doctor is like a bed of pins full of my traumas, right? It's like, and I know some of you out there, Stevie, I know you especially also share trauma surrounding medical places and things like that. But I have years, decades of mistrust in the medical professionals that we have to go see. And I know that they are sometimes a stepping point to going to see someone else and all these other reasons. And I know we have to go to the doctor. I get it. And I know there are times as I'm getting older, it's getting more and more important that I go to the doctor and the whole shit and shebang. But nonetheless, it is so not what I want to be doing. It is so nowhere I want to go. It's like, oh my God, every time I go to this place, I have a really shitty time and people fuck with my head. And then I have to voluntarily go back over and over again. Right. And so already a trauma center. Went last time for a little dipsy toes in the water, met with our little, the physician's assistant lady, and we talked about my stomach issues, and we had sort of a little plan in place. Um, and so, last week I was going to have a test for my stomach where I had to be fasting. right? So I had to fast from the night before all the way through the morning, and my test was somewhere around 10 o'clock in the morning, right? And so we decided that I should start with that test, and we should kind of know um, what's going on, and kind of get that particular thing out of the way. So that was going to be a test for the H. pylori infection, which is a pretty common thing, but it's really does a lot of damage to your innards. And so it was a fasting breath test. I had to breathe into 2 bags, blah, 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 blah. Okay, not a problem. I know I have to do tests. I know if I want to know what's going on with my stomach, I have to do tests. I'm not an idiot. I understand that I'm stepping into like the wrestling ring with the medical professionals if I want to know what's going on for my stomach. But I have a thing. Maybe I'll call it a pet peeve. I have a thing. I don't know what it is, if it's a trauma trigger, if it's where it lies, but I have a thing about people not doing their jobs and requiring you to do extra steps because they're not doing their job well. Okay. So that's a pet peeve of mine. For example, if you're doing some paperwork for me and you have a bunch of million questions to ask me, no problem. I'm happy to answer them for you. But please do not send them to me one email at a time. Please get your fucking list together and send me one email, right, with all the questions, right? Otherwise, you're making me do your job, and that becomes a pet peeve of mine. Same thing in doctor's office, right? Check all your boxes, make sure you're giving me the right information, make sure all this stuff is happening, because otherwise you're making me pay the price for your lack of doing job, or shall I say laziness, right? Or lack of attention to detail, or any number of things that make me crazy as a manager, as an employer, as a fellow employee. All that insufficiency, just inefficiency rather, makes me it just pokes the bear. I don't know what else to say. And so when we layer that kind of behavior on top of needing to be in a scenario that is also a trauma triggering thing, what happened to me at the doctor was unacceptable. And I really am still annoyed about it. And you're going to probably hear it as I talk about it. So the whole point of this thing was to go with the H. pylori test. Needed a physical too. So she said, why don't you just do your physical at the same time? Since you're fasting, we'll take the blood work. We'll do your physical. I had talked to her about the parts of the physical that give me trauma that I didn't want to have to deal with. She said no problem. She would do it herself. She wouldn't let a nurse do it. She understood, blah, blah, blah. Right. And so everything was going really well. Make the appointment before you leave, blah, blah. She sends me to the desk. They make the appointment, the whole thing. I get my instructions. I get my, all the reminders to confirm, and all of that shit happens. And then I get there. Okay. I get there, and usually Antonio will stay with me. These days, in order to protect myself and the people around me when it comes to the doctor's office, I usually take somebody with me. This particular occasion, Antonio and I were trying to get shit done that morning. He was down with me. He had stuff to do for the food truck and whatnot. I had stuff to do. We had to sneak in this doctor's appointment. I was starving by the time I got there. So here's the scenario. Becca is hangry. Becca is tired. Becca is down in the city and hates it and is already overwhelmed by sensory. Becca's going to the doctor, and it is a trauma trigger. And I am in this space that I've just driven over an hour to get to the doctor. Okay. They call me. I sit there in the little chair and I do my little waiting, right? I'm wasting my time waiting. And then I go into the little room and there's going to be a little more waiting. And then the little nursey girl comes in. Well, she says, okay, well, thank you for coming in for your physical, blah, blah, blah. Did you fast for the blood work? Yeah, I fasted for the blood work, but also for the H. pylori test because I need to know what's going on. I said, and really, if we could get that done first, I'd appreciate it. And I had a can of Coke with me, right? I was like, I'd like to get some sugar in my body, so I don't freak out and eat you, but also because, kindness. Let's do the thing that's sort of uncomfortable out of the way first, right? So I say that, and I see the look on her face as though I've spoken Latin. That's it. I spoke Latin in this room, is the way that her face looked. H. pylori test, she says. And I said, yes. And she said, we don't do that here. What? What do you mean you don't do that here? That's really the only reason I'm here. Oh, no, you're here for your physical. No. The physical was tacked on to the pertinent diagnostic procedure which is the H. pylori test. Now, if you work in the medical profession or even in the animal medical profession, you know that there is a diagnostic protocol. You know that there are certain things that you do in a certain order because of the way the patient is presenting. So I am here. Diagnostic protocol is that the H. pylori test is the most important, right? Followed by the blood work. Then followed by how tall are you? How much do you weigh? What are you eating? Can we make you lose weight? All of that other shit, right? Am I right? Okay. So that's why I'm there. And that's what I'm supposed to be doing, right? And she has no idea what I'm talking about first and then tells me they don't do the H. pylori test. And I say, but you guys are the ones that told me to make the appointment to come here to get the H. pylori test. Yeah, but we don't have that stuff here. That's a lab test. You have to go to the lab for that. I all I can picture in my head when these moments happen to me are cartoons particularly that I grew up on, like the old Acme cartoons, okay, where it's the Roadrunner and right Wile E. Coyote or Tweety Bird and Sylvester. And all I can tell you is that at that moment, when they do that big thing with the mallet and it hits the it hits the bell and it goes all the way up, right? To see how strong you are. That's how I feel like my blood pressure goes. The anvil, yes. And I feel like my blood pressure goes whoop like that, and like I can hear the noise almost. And my head feels like it's gonna explode. And the only way to release that pressure is to fucking let that shit out your mouth. Okay? Not acceptable behavior for an adult, even though the other adult in the room is clearly a moron. Not true. That's not true. She wasn't a moron. She was just really young and she was doing her job and she didn't know what the hell was going on. But why the doctor or the physician's assistant who ordered the test let me schedule that appointment, or the lady at the reception desk let me schedule that appointment, or any of the numerous times they confirmed with me they let it happen, right? But nobody realizes it until I get there, an hour drive fasting overnight to come and do this test, and nobody knows. Okay. So, as you can imagine, I was a little bit pissed. And at the same time, Antonio had left me there to do this appointment, or most of it, because he just had to run one errand. So now I'm alone with this tiny girl. And as I see, like, when I'm having a meltdown, all the other people in front of me look like babies or like innocent deer to me. Like they're just in the space that my whole presence needs to occupy right now, and they are petrified. And that's how this little girl looked. And so in that moment, you guys, I pulled together some of the best SDL work I have ever done. And I talked about this a little bit on Gratitude on Sunday. Um, I managed to process that through, ask her to wait a second and not ask me any more questions. So I practiced the pause and I asked for it, called Antonio, told him what was going on, told him to please come back and get me. Okay. Then I turned to her and said, I'm not doing my physical. And she said, what? I'm not doing my physical. I came down here and fasted for this H. pylori test. So what you're going to do is go ahead and schedule with a lab, the closest lab to this physical location, to get me in for an H. pylori test so that I can fucking eat something. Well, no, I didn't say fucking eat something. That's what I was thinking about, right? And I was like, so please go do that. I'm going to look for the closest lab. Which lab do you do? Blah, 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 blah. Go and make that happen because I need to have the H. pylori test today and I can come back for my physical. So she left the room and went and got the doctor, who then tried to save herself and blah, blah, blah. Oh, I didn't know. I'm kind of new here. I thought we would have that stuff. I didn't know it was a lab test, blah, 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 blah. I heard none of it, right? All I see is like, and it's terrible. All I see is this little sniveling creature in front of me. And I'm like, I don't care about it. You've already told, like, I don't care. None of that is pertinent information to me at the moment. All I want is the piece of paper to go and get the test done and where I'm supposed to go. That's it. Now I don't care about you anymore. Like, that's what happens inside my brain as I'm having a meltdown, right? Like, I did my job. What the fuck was that? I did my job, right? I fasted, I showed up on time, I did all the things I was supposed to do. You guys didn't do your job, right? And so I am moments from just shoving these people out of my way and walking out of the room, right? And I contain myself, and Antonio shows up and he finds out what's going on. And I say, I need to get out of here. And she said, well, do you want to wait for the paper? We've already sent it electronically. That might have been, if Antonio wasn't there, that would have been my last straw. No, you fucking idiot. I don't want to wait for the piece of paper. If you've sent it electronically, it's fucking already there. Let me go drive. So I leave. I don't know what they thought about me when I left, but all I can tell you is I was so fucking hungry and I just wanted to get this stupid test done because I could not believe the ineptitude. I could not handle it. These are people's physical well being you're in charge of. Ineptitude. Okay. So I go, I have the test done. Some very nice lady at the lab does it. She also took blood, and I was like, oh, how clever of them. They must have realized I was fasting and knew that I need the blood work for my physical, so they must have just asked the lab to take bloods too. How lovely of them, right? I do the test, blah, blah, blah. I get a notice. The test comes back. She tells me it's negative. Okay, I don't have an H. pylori infection. Fantastic. But that's all she tells me. I'm like, wait a second. They took blood, right? And I'm supposed to be being forwarded on or referred on to for genetic testing for pancreatic cancer. And I'm also supposed to be being referred to a gastroenterologist, right? None of that is being addressed. So I message back. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, and by the way, thank you so much for asking them to take blood. That was really smart. I appreciate it, right? But I would like those referrals for the genetic testing and a GI doctor. The message that I got back, I'm so lucky my computer is still working and I didn't throw it across the room, you guys. The message I got back was, oh, they took blood? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Didn't even know that they took blood. And then I said, well, yes, they did take blood. And can you send me those referrals? This morning, you guys, I got a message that the lab threw away my blood because the doctor's office didn't really ask for it. So she did it automatically, the lab lady. They didn't ask for it at the doctor's office like they should have, or I thought they did, too much credit given, right? And so my blood got tossed, and guess who has to do another fasting blood test? Me. Hey, I win. And so, needless to say, you guys, to say that I probably never want to step foot in that doctor's office ever again is the smallest amount of and the shortest way of saying it. To say that I don't want to talk. I mean, I have no faith in them. All the trust is broken. That's all gone. I have no faith that they're going to do their job. So if I stay there, that means double checking, triple checking everything that they're asking me to do, right? Which means that I have a new job on top of it all. And so that's where I'm fucking at with this stupid doctor's office. And if you guys want to know why, that's repeated trauma, right? That's not the first time something this shitty has happened to me at the doctor's office. It's like gazillionth time. Why? Because you're not letting autistics run your offices. And if you did, we'd all be so fucking detail oriented. There's no way that this shit would happen. Maybe our customer service wouldn't be as nice, but let me tell you, you can shove your customer service. When I get down there and I need to have things done that take care of my physical health, right? I now have no trust that you know what you're doing. None. Zero. You know how many people could have told me? So many. So many. And I know Antonio thinks that I'm crazy and he thinks that I'm overreacting. And maybe I am a little bit, but this is what it looks like when your traumas get stepped on, right? This is what it looks like and this is how it feels. And it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And so what we all end up doing is not going at all, which I have to tell you is a really, really tempting option to me right now, right? To just walk away from all the courage it took for me to go to the doctor in the first place and even address these stomach problems. Okay. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk about today because I feel like shit. Today I feel like shit. I feel like, well, since Sunday, right? I was feeling really low spoons and that really hasn't changed. And I feel like asshole right now because I feel like the world is stepping on me all over the place. I feel powerless. I feel angry. I feel lost. And I want to know when it's all going to get better. How much harder do I have to work? How much longer? How much harder? And I know what to say to myself because what I would say to you if I was going to say, if you were talking to me like this, is to say, when you're tired, rest, but do not quit, right? When you're tired, rest, but do not quit. Someone's pulling up next to me who's going to think I'm a crazy person now. I can't wait. Anyway, so that's what I mean. You just have to rest, right? And that's what I need. I need some rest. I need some rest and I need to walk away from this health sphere for a little bit so that I can stop being so angry. Um, the stress over money and stress over my health are the two areas in which um, I'm still, I still have moments of feeling powerless, like right now. And so I need to work really hard on overcoming the trauma associated with the doctor's office and the trauma associated with the stress of money and not being able to afford things. Because somehow here I am at 45, I'm still alive. I'm sitting in my car. I'm eating every night for dinner. So I'm doing something right, right? And maybe the days of being able to afford your bills are just over, for our country. I don't know. But this stuff has been hard. And it's been painful, and I'm not in a good mood, and I'm pissed off at the world right now, and I'm feeling ugly and angry and tired and lots of things right now, and none of them are pretty. But I owe it to you guys, with all of myself, to show you this part too, because I can have shitty days. I know this. I know these will pass. I know I will come out the other side. I know lots of things. But when you're in it, none of that seems to matter. When you're in it, the only thing that matters is reminding yourself of these things, like, continuously, because all I have to keep saying is that's not the language I like to use with myself, and I shouldn't be saying those things to myself. And at the same time, they're telling me things. They are telling me things about what my body and my brain need, and that my body and my brain need for other people not to need me right now. I need my body and my brain need other people to do their jobs. Do your fucking job. Everybody, just do your job like you're autistic. Do it with 110%. Because otherwise, when other people run into you, we all think you're stupid. And the number one way, I feel like there are two ways to make yourself stupid right away. One of them is to sit around with your mouth open. I'll show you. Right? If you sit around like that, instantly it takes like 20 IQ points off of you. And the other thing is to do your job in a lazy way. When you do your job in a lazy way that's not detail oriented, it reads to the rest of the world that you're stupid and that you don't care. And why would anybody return the favor? So really, I'm in a space. I'm in a venti, angry, nasty fucking space right now about where I'm at. And I'm feeling like I can't move, and I'm feeling a little trapped by a lot of things. And I know this stuff will pass. I know that something will change, a shift will happen, as long as I stay in alignment, and as long as I don't allow the things that I'm struggling through to pull me off the path too far. It'll all zing back. The universe will provide. There's a reason it's all happening, and blah, 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 blah. But at the moment, I'm just a pissed off, angry, fat person. That's how I feel. I feel like a pissed off, angry, fat person. Because that's the other thing that the doctor had the nerve to say to me. Ugh, what a terrible thing to say to someone. She said to me, "Oh, you're overweight, but you're not obese." Right? So that's all I hear in my head right now. And on top of all of the other things, she managed to somehow set off the body dysmorphia. So now I just feel like a fucking ugly, short, fat troll person. And that's how I'm feeling about myself. And that's the truth. That's what it sounds like in here right now. It's my truth. And you will see me on Sunday, and I will be different, and I will have different things to say. But I feel like it's only fair to share with you guys the real stuff that's happening, so that you know that it's still happening to me, and it still goes on, and that doesn't change how strong of a person I am, and it doesn't change all the shit that I've gone through and succeeded with, and not it doesn't change all of that. But you're allowed to have a shitty day without having a shitty life. And right now I'm having a shitty week. It's just a shitty week. And I realize that it will pass, and I understand all of those things, but it doesn't mean that I'm still not processing through all this shitty stuff. And that when I'm feeling less shitty, it won't all still be there for me to have to do, because I will still have to decide if I return to the doctor. I will still have to decide if I return to that doctor, right? There's a lot of things that come into play, but right now I can feel the need to rest and just isolate, because every person is pissing me off. Everything is pissing me off. My clothes are annoying me. My hair is annoying me. Just everything. And when it gets to that place, there's really only one solution, and that's to just like isolate for a little bit, because that's what I'm screaming for, right? I'm certainly not screaming for connection right now. I can tell you that much. Um, yeah. So that's where I'm at, you guys. That's what I wanted to talk about today. It's not really the topic that I had chosen for today, but it's the topic that the universe has provided. So just know that you're not alone in these struggles. That um, that I'm not impervious to them, that I still go through all this stuff. Just because I teach you how to process through them doesn't mean that I don't get hit with them. I do. And it's just that kind of week. So I'm just catching up on your chat over here. Yeah. Yeah, see, we all have the same repeated bad experiences that give us this like awful experience. Yeah, CV says if they had to pay the patient when they mess up, I wonder how things would change the power dynamic. You are 100% right. If I had left there with $10 on top of my fucking having to go take that test, maybe I would have felt better. I would have felt like at least they felt it back. They felt the repercussions of their actions, and that certainly doesn't feel like they do. We are commodities to the medical system, Bill, especially here in the United States. I mean, our medical system is all about money. It has really very little to do with your actual health or science or anything like that. It is all about money. And so it's really difficult to get honest treatment, I think, out here. If I tell you I would pay more for proper treatment, even though I already pay a shit ton, I would still pay more if I could get proper treatment. It's truth. Um, all right. Anyway, tell Burnett I said hi back. So Burnett couldn't make it, he said. I'm sorry that he couldn't make it, but I'll miss him. And he can catch up. But in any case, you guys, that's really it for my vent session. It was a nice big long one. I'm sorry for that, you guys, but it's just, I mean, yeah, I need to be alone for a little bit. I definitely do. All right, you guys. So that's that. And I wanted to let you know this big giant announcement at the end of all this. Self-Defined Living, the course, the live version of the course, is beginning on September 15th. That's correct. We're doing September, October, and November for the Self-Defined Living course. It begins in September. If you are interested in taking the course live with me, which I highly recommend, registration is now open. You can head over to my website, beccalaurie.com, and you can go to the Self-Defined Living tab, and you will find registration available to you. Please go ahead and get yourself registered. The course is already half full. It's already half full because of the waiting list, people. And I have already given out some scholarships, which I hope to be getting more of very soon. But if you are interested in it, if you're interested in a scholarship, if you want to get on the waiting list, if you want to get yourself a seat, please email me at info@beccalaurie.com, or you can head to my website and use the contact page there, which is Beccalaurie, LORY.com. All of this stuff is down there in the description for you. But please take a look at the course, and I will shortly be announcing the date for the September Self-Defined Living seminar series, which will be about boundaries. That's what we're going to talk about for September. Yeah, so that's the stuff that's going on. If you're over at my website, you can sign up for my free newsletter, Monthly Musings. You can also check out my social media, my writing. You can do all kinds of other things while you're on my website. It's all there. But I love so much to hear from you guys. So if you've got comments about this video, please feel free to leave them wherever you're watching it. I love your comments. I love your emails. I love writing back. And then, of course, if you enjoy the content of my videos, please feel free to give me a thumbs up. Those thumbs up and thumbs down let me know whether the content is worth doing or not, or if I need to change things up. As always, I thank you guys for your time and your spoons, for spending them with me. And I highly recommend getting out into the world and creating some joy, seeking it, creating it, sharing it. I could use some of yours. Feel free to share it along. And get out there and make the most of your day and your week. And remember that this too shall pass. I will see you guys on Sunday for the next Growing Gratitude. And of course, I'll be back next Wednesday with the next Being Back Alive. Have a good one, you guys. Bye.